Hi everybody, this is Bob Iacchino from Path Trading Partners, along with my co-founder Mike Arnold, who you can see working away on his charts in the background there. Just going to go over the weekly calendar like we always do. You've obviously heard by now of the airstrikes by the U.S. on the Syrian airbase. Russia's response was muted at first, getting slightly more contentious now. That's a developing story, and obviously it's going to be the most important thing if it accelerates, if it really ramps up. It'll be one of the biggest movers of currency pairs, namely dollar weakness. That's what we saw initially. Market bounced back pretty quickly in everything but the euro. President Xi Jinping from China visited President Trump at Mar-a-Lago in Florida. President Trump said they had a great relationship and a great conversation. No joint statement was made. It's interesting that the airstrikes on Syria were made while President Xi was at Mar-a-Lago with Donald Trump. That's being viewed as a statement to China about North Korea. The fact that this airstrikes were ongoing while Xi was having dinner with Donald Trump. It's a little unusual in terms of statesmanship. But he left without a statement. The most surprising thing about that it really was that he stopped in Alaska and he met with Governor Bill Walker of Alaska, where Bill Walker told him that Alaska could provide China with a generation's worth of liquefied natural gas. China is very resource starved in terms of fossil fuels. So that's about the most information we got out of this meeting. But Donald Trump did accept an invite to Beijing. The calendar, fairly heavy week, starting on Sunday night. We're recording this on Saturday afternoon. So starting on Sunday night at about 6:50 Central Time, 7:50 Eastern, we've got Japanese trade balance expected to be positive 981.7 billion yen. That's the forecast. We've got the Bank of Japan's Kuroda speaking at the branch managers meeting. That's a high priority. He should be saying something about future path of Japanese monetary policy. Going into Monday, we've got Chinese real estate index of family homes. Won't be that big of a deal. We do have the Chinese money supply and new yuan loans, probably the most important being the new yuan loans. We're supposed to see 1.2 trillion in yuan in new loans. We've also got Canadian housing starts, which will be at 7:15 Central Time, 8:15 Eastern Time. They're expected to be a 215,500 increase in housing starts. U.S. labor market conditions index, there's no estimate on that. Janet Yellen is speaking at the University of Michigan. That'll be a big deal. That's happening at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Central Time, 4 Eastern. We've got the Australian NAB Business Confidence Index for March. That'll be coming out at around 10:30 Central, 11:30 Eastern Time. Moving into Tuesday, at 1 a.m. Central, 2 a.m. Eastern, we've got Japanese machine tool orders. That's always a pretty big number. That's coming out. It's supposed to be up about 9%. We've got the UK's Consumer Price Index, month over month and year over year for March. Month over month is expected at 0.3 versus 0.7 last, and year over year is expected to be unchanged at 2.3. Then the core consumer price for the UK as well. This is all at 3:30 a.m. Central, 4:30 a.m. Eastern, by the way. Core consumer price index year over year, 1.9 versus 2. It's expected at 1.9. We've also got Eurozone industrial production year over year. That's supposed to be up 1.9% versus 0.6 last. We've got the German ZEW survey of economic sentiment for April. That's supposed to be up at 14.8 versus 12.8 last. We've also got the Eurozone ZEW survey of economic sentiment and the current situations index for Germany. We've got Eurozone industrial production. That's supposed to be up 1.9% versus 0.6 last. That's all 4 a.m. Central Time, 5 a.m. Eastern Time. Moving on to the evening, Japanese machine orders month over month, Japanese bank lending, and Japanese bank lending ex trusts. Those will not move the market that much, 6:50 Central Time. We do have Chinese Consumer Price Index year over year for March. That's going to come out at 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern Time. That's supposed to be up 1% versus 0.8 last. We've also got the Australian Westpac Consumer Confidence Index. Watch that Chinese consumer price. They also release the producer price index at the same time, just not as important as the CPI is. Wednesday, April 12th, we've got sterling jobless claims change in the UK, 3:30 a.m. And then we've got average weekly earnings and average weekly earnings ex bonus. Then we've got the unemployment change and the unemployment rate, essentially the UK's non-farm payrolls number. That will be at 3:30 in the morning Central Time, 4:30 Eastern Time. A little later in the day, we've got the Bank of Canada's rate decision and their monetary policy report. The rates are supposed to be unchanged at 50 basis points or half of 1%. That comes out at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We've also got the weekly crude inventories number, which always comes out at 9:30 Central, 10:03 Eastern. A little later in the evening, Japanese foreign bond buying. And then we've also got, at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern, Australia's consumer inflation expectation, employment change, and unemployment rate. So also the jobs number for Australia, basically. Australia is supposed to have added 20,000 jobs, and their rate's supposed to be unchanged at 5.9%. We also have German's consumer price index month over month for March expected to be at 0.2% versus 0.2 last. Canadian new housing prices year over year, no estimate on that. That comes out 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. By the way, that German consumer price is 1 a.m. Central Time, 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Continuing claims in the U.S. also at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern Time. Expected to be 2.03 million continuing claims and 245,000 on the jobless. And then 9 a.m., 10 a.m. Eastern, Michigan Confidence Index, University of Michigan Sentiment. That's for April, expected to be at slightly lower at 96.6. Then we've got the Baker Hughes rig count numbers. That will be on Thursday of this week. This Friday is Good Friday, so futures markets will close. FX will be open. Futures markets will close early. But there is some data on Friday. We have the U.S. month-over-month and year-over-year consumer price, and month-over-month and year-over-year consumer price ex food and energy. These are for March. So let's just look at the year-over-year estimates, 2.6 versus 2.7 last, and the ex-food and energy, 2.3 versus 2.2 last. Both of those above the 2% target of the Fed. We've also got advanced retail sales for the month of March. Those are expected to be down 0.1%. And then a host of other sort of background retail sales numbers, less autos, business inventories, and the like. But those are the major economic releases. So let me turn it over to Mike to let you know what he is seeing on the charts. Mike, it's all yours.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Bob. Euro US dollar continued lower through some of our key levels we announced last night. Last week. I've updated this to project the new levels for next week. Also, you can see here, there's a rough channel. A lot of people will be doing this rough rising channel. So this is a very critical area because if it gets too much below this, people think the channel's broken and act on it. This is also just one of our properly drawn trend lines. If we do break below Friday's lows, next key area you're watching for is down here, this little GAN cluster, which is going to be around 105.41 to 105.45. Then below that, we're looking at a significant level, 105.10, followed by another GAN cluster right around the 104.94 to 105 level. On a rally back up, if this trend line does hold, watch for very, very minor resistance around 105.97. Then if we get through there, the major significant level is 106.21. And then above that, we're looking at 106.50, where we're also going to have the declining rotation zone coming in and a prior breakdown level. And possibly kiss this old trend line goodbye, which is why I've left it up there. Over to the pound. This did trigger this double top with this close below Friday. So that has a first target down to 121.96, second target, which is a which is a less probable target, 121.37. So longer term, and this could take a while to play out. Those are the key levels with a stop reduction target of 122.56. Now on a shorter term basis, if we continue lower, we're watching for minor support at 123.62. Then we have some GAN levels lower, 123.46, followed by 123.32, followed by 123.16 are your next key levels. And again, cluster right around 122.99. So the 123 level. If we do rally back up, watch for resistance at 123.87, followed by 124.07. Then we're going to have a rolling over and possible first cross of a rotation zone. So watch for 124.25, then 124.36 as key resistance levels. US dollar, Japanese yen retested this 110.10 to 110.15, very critical area in here. Talked about both on the podcast and in multiple path chats, and rallied up. This has a potential double bottom, but it's got to get through the rotation zone and get above this peak to trigger. So if we get closer to doing that, we'll update those levels. On a continued rally, 111.45 key resistance, followed by 111.65 significant level, prior target level, and just above the top of the declining rotation zone. If we do get back through there, watch for 112.13, and then this key level of the potential double bottom, which is 112.19. If we reverse lower, going to be watching for some support around 110.64, followed by retesting this trend line, which has not been redrawn yet, which is going to be around the 110.50, and then this 110.11, 110.15 area, very critical. If that is broken, not much support until we get down to the 109.44 area, which we have again cluster and the rising 200. US dollar Swiss rallied on Friday after a brief midweek pause to test the declining trend line. If it continues to head higher Sunday/Monday, watch for resistance again at Friday's highs, 100.96. Once those are broken, next major level is until 101.25, followed by 101.45, which is a GAN level and end of a clear path. And then once that's broken, we're looking for 101.66. On a pullback, we're looking for some minor support between 100.81 to 100.76. Then next support level is 100.60, followed by 100.45, and then Friday's lows and the rising 8, which come in at 100.28. Aussie US dollar headed lower Thursday and Friday. Pretty critical level right here. If it breaks through Friday's lows, next levels we're watching for lower are 74.70, followed by 74.54 to 74.61 area. And then once that's broken, we're looking at 74.29. On a rally, we're looking for resistance between 75.23 and 75.28, followed by a retest of the defining point, which is 75.45. Then if that's broken, we have a flat 200 and a GAN level around 75.55. US dollar Canadian moved sharply lower and then rebounded on Friday. If it continues higher back up on Monday, resistance right around the 134.41, followed by a defining point at 134.51. We have these dual trend lines in there, so that's going to be very strong resistance. If that gets broken, we're looking for 134.64, followed by 134.81. If it turns around and goes lower, support prior breakout zone and GAN level 133.93. Also the rising 8s coming in there. And then the next area is the rising 21 and GAN level. We're looking right around the 133.62 area. And then if that's broken, a retest of Friday's low is 133.42. Finally, US dollar, Mexican peso. Try to get through the rotation zone, headed back down. If it continues down, we have very strong support right around this 1858.52 level. Once that's broken, 1854.27, then we're looking to possibly head down to the 1830.68, followed by the full target area of 1818.50. On a move back higher, resistance right around the 1889.88, followed by an old defining point at 1894.31, followed by the top of the rotation zone, 1895.19. Once all that's broken, significant level and GAN level around the 1904.09 level. That's all we have for you. Back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Michael. Be sure and check out our other Path Chat weekend updates for the week of April 9th through the 14th. Remember, the 14th is a religious holiday. It ends up being a half day in most markets. Different exchanges will have different hours on them, different hours attached to that particular day. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Cheers, everyone.